Hey, what's up, everybody out there in Music Plus TV land, viewers and listeners? I'm Lindsay Zier, and we're here today on the set of the Goo Goo Dolls' newest video from their title track, Let Love In. So we're going to be sitting down with the band, asking them some questions, some funky stuff, finding out info, tour dates, all that good stuff. They are going on a 3-month tour, and they just started last week. They're going to be with the Counting Crows. So make sure you guys stick around and listen to some good stuff. I am here with Robby from the Goo Goo Dolls. It is awesome to have you here. Thanks so much for hanging out. You talk about the 2 decades, the 20 years. I mean, for most bands to stick together for 20 years and have such a solid, steady career, I have to ask, what's the ingredient to success?
You have to respect each other enough to leave each other alone, and at the same time make sure that, folks are getting what they need to get out of the situation, to make themselves feel good about it. And I think more importantly, musically as a band, you just got to sort of let yourself grow at a real pace, because you might be out there playing those songs 20 years later, like we are. And, we've allowed ourselves to evolve and grow, hopefully, as our fans have,
Maybe in 20 years, someone else, you'll be playing these same songs, and maybe some other band will come along and cover one of your songs, which seems like it would be. And, would you consider that an honor, or how would you feel about that if someone covered one of your songs?
Depending on how they did it. No, I'm just kidding. Well,
don't suck if you're going to cover a Goo Goo Dolls song.
No, I guess, imitation is the highest form of flattery. Yeah. I believe David Bowie said that.
Yeah.
So, I think that, I think it's awesome anytime anybody's, tips their hat to something you've done, especially when, it's something that you've been, that you've enjoyed doing so much,
Well, you guys tipped your hats to Supertramp from Forgive a Little Bit, which now, am I to understand correctly that you played that at the Buffalo Live? That was on the DVD. Yeah. That was before you recorded, correct?
Yeah, we recorded it, but everything was all wet. And,
but it was all wet, so you decided to re-record it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Rob Cavallo, who did our last few records, came and we took all the guys that we played with live and went and did a great new version of it. It was funny when we went back and actually got it and listened to it. We were surprised to find like a 1.5-minute long saxophone solo, like 30 seconds in, but you don't remember those things when you're, when you're growing up. You just,
it's interpretation.
Yeah, it's just verse chorus, man. So anyway, I think we recorded the version and we remembered.
Tell me a little bit about the Buffalo experience. What draws you to want to stay there and remain there and just be a part of Buffalo?
I think being away from that area is what draws us to be there, you know what I mean? Yeah. We've been living in Los Angeles, and between Los Angeles and New York for the past 10 years, and to go back to Buffalo always sort of reminds you of sort of why you got into this whole thing to begin with. We were in Los Angeles working on the record, and we had, our usual group of folks around us, but the bottom line is people are really worried about the next 16 weeks of your life, because that's what they're paid to worry about, and so I think we decided that when you're making decisions based on, musical things, that you should be in a place that's got a little bit, further of a vision than 16 weeks. So we went back home to where people, have been watching us progress and following us for the past, 20 years now. And those opinions are a little bit more valuable, I think.
A free show for 60,000. Diehard fans that just love you guys. I mean, what was that like?
Well, I was surprised they stayed. Yeah, I mean, I had to. All my stuff was there. But yeah, it rained like crazy, and it was a lot of fun. But, they made us feel like rock stars there a long time ago, way before we deserved it.
I understand also that you are collecting food at each of your tour stops for USA Harvest.
Yeah, this is the third album actually that we've done this on. It's called USA Harvest, and basically what they do is they collect non-perishable food, canned goods and otherwise, you know, whatever, in bins outside the doors of the shows. And we've raised 1 million meals already, actually, since we started with them. And we're hoping to add to that number on this tour, you know, and every time we do it, word gets around a little bit more, and you know, and the great thing about it is, you know, after it's collected, there's not a lot of bureaucracy involved. You know, it doesn't go to a food pantry where it's sold, you know, for profit. It's taken by volunteers right into the communities, usually handed out that evening at shelters, you know, through the Salvation Army and other organizations like that. Yeah, you know, I mean, we're lucky, man. You know, I mean, there's not a lot of bands that are afforded a 20-year career, especially bands from we're about to get our heads blown up. Bring food before we get our heads blown up.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's a great organization, and so you know, if anybody could remember, you know, to bring it out, you know, make yourself feel nice.
Bring food.
Yeah.
Was there a point in your lives, in your music careers together, that you thought, there's just no hope, or were you feeling hopeless? That
3:30 this afternoon. Nah, you know, yeah. I mean,
there's so much hope on this new album.
You know,
so
we've been around a long time, and you know, doing what we've been doing a long time as a band, but we've also been around a long time and doing what we've been doing as human beings. And you know, it's difficult to watch a lot of what goes on these days. You know, and I think that you know, we've identified most of the problems. I don't think it's much of a question as to what the problems are. Now it's time, you know, it's time for people to put their heads together and come up with some sort of a solution. And
well, I mean,
and there you go, let love in. It's hard these days, you know what I mean? So, you know, that's the only hope we got right now. It's time.
Yeah,
it's time apparently to make a rock video.
Yeah, it is time to make a rock video, you know? So we're here with Robby. Robby's been awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And we can't wait for the video. We're psyched. All right, guys.